Hello, it is me, it is Becca. I'm finally making a video that is actually related to my niche. I'm supposed to make music related videos. If you do want more of that, go ahead and give me recommendations with what you actually want to know about songwriting and music and other things. I have a degree in music, majoring in songwriting, and I've learned some things along the way. So I'm going to share with you 5 things that I was believing back when I first started out with songwriting that actually are not so true. Myth number 1, you have to write from personal experience. Now, when I first started writing songs, I was very young and I had not a lot of personal experience in life and ran out very quickly on topics that I could write about. I know most people, when they start out songwriting, they want to make it personal, and to do that, to make it original, they mean to write about personal experiences and things that they've really gone through and things that they've seen in life. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. There are plenty of other places that exist where you can find content ideas for writing songs about. You can write about an experience that a friend has gone through, or just somebody you know. You don't even have to like the person. I find inspiration through other media such as TV and movies and books. There are so many other stories and adventures and emotions that are explained in so many different scenarios. A lot of them don't actually happen in the real world, but they are still great inspiration for writing a song about. You can find songwriting inspiration through political issues, current events, things that are going on in the news and the other places of the world. You can write about historical figures or your family members who have passed, or even the ones that are still alive, but ones from history and from another time period. You could write a song in response to another existing song, kind of like a letter back and forth. Myth number 2, you have to use the verse-chorus form. Typical songs in the pop genre especially have a verse-chorus form or structure. This is typically verse, chorus, bridge, chorus to end, and it has actually ended up being quite repetitive and predictable. Somebody who uses a very unpredictable form, this is Florence and the Machine. She uses so many layers of sections in a song, and it just moves so much more smoothly. The opposite of that, for example, is the critically acclaimed and award-winning song Let It Go. Yes, that song from Frozen. And if you listen to it closely, you can actually recognize that when it moves from verse to chorus and chorus to verse, it actually sounds quite copy and pasted. The movement between the sections is actually quite jagged, and that is actually something that most professional songwriters want to avoid. You can use the verse-chorus form, but just make it a little bit different. You can start on the chorus, you can start with a half verse, take out the bridge, or have 2 or more. It's really up to you. Other forms that exist, you could go ahead and research how to do the AABA form. There are a lot of top hitting songs that have come in this form. You could also try writing an AA form song, so you develop a section that has its ebbs and its flows, but when it comes to the end, it is ready to move back to the start, and so you can do this all the way through your song just with one section. Technically, this can be observed as a verse and a verse and a verse and a verse, but if you engineer the music and the melodies well, then it doesn't feel like that. Moving on to myth number 3, your songs have to rhyme. No, they do not. When I first shared lyrics with people in my music class, I had a girl tell me that she found it annoying that my songs didn't rhyme, but that was through reading the lyrics alone. There is a huge difference between lyrics on a page and lyrics within music. The typical understanding of songs that rhyme is an external rhyme. So the end of the phrase, the end of the line, has the sound that is repeated at another end of a line. You can have, though, internal rhyming where words inside of the sentences, not at the end, that they rhyme or they have similar sounds and connections. So that is another way to go around the external rhyme. A really clever rhyming technique is to set up a rhyme that you don't actually follow through with. This can end up quite comical. You'll start off with a very distinct external word that you have your audience believing you will follow through with a rhyme. So there's a particular word everybody is assuming you're going to sing, and then not actually go along with their expectations. A great example of this, another Frozen reference, yes, Olaf's song In Summer.
Winter's a good time to stay in and cuddle, but put me in summer and I'll be a happy snowman.
Just because that is a musical song, that doesn't necessarily mean that using the setup rhyme technique is something that you can't use in pop or whatever genre that you are writing that is not in connection with a musical. And otherwise, rhyming is not necessarily the best way to get your message across. So use the tools that will be helpful, and if rhyme is not one of them, then you can put it aside for that writing day. Myth number 4. You can't copy other people. You can definitely use other songs as inspiration for your own. Using other people's lyrics is plagiarism. There is no way around that. However, there are only so many chords and there are only 12 notes in the Western musical system. There is no way around making a melody that is not going to sound similar to something that has already been done. Music has existed so much longer than you have, and therefore being original is a subjective affair. So if you like a chord progression of another song, you can use that, but it is of course a matter of putting your own signature on things. It's also very hard when you think that you have come up with something original and maybe it's actually something that you heard maybe years ago. Happens quite often. Another way to use inspiration from another song is to take their melody and change the length of notes. So maybe you'll hold them, maybe you'll double them up, maybe you'll change the harmony so that it moves up rather than down at the end of the phrase. You can do all sorts of things to mess with somebody else's melody and then make it your own. This is known as ghost melody, and it is essentially a new song because it totally doesn't sound like the original. You can copy somebody's arrangement, so if they've got drums, guitar, and some weird whistle, there's nothing stopping you from being able to use that. It only becomes a problem when you use every element of another person's song, and then there's no way to sway people from thinking that that is the song you took some ideas from. And myth number 5, your lyrics are final. There is such a thing as a draft. When I have thought that a song was finished, I show it to another person and they are confused as to where the story or where my message is going. Things that you need to look out for before your songs are finished is the pronouns. If you're talking about people, if you're talking about he, she, her, him, it can get really messy, so be very careful with those. Make sure that everything is very distinct. And you need to be careful about this when using characters who are speaking. He said, and you use a quote. You need to be very particular on making some sort of end quotation mark, because otherwise the rest of the song could essentially be continuing what they said. When you have filled out all of the lines that are required, you wanted 4 lines in the verse and 4 in the chorus, When you fill out the song with your lyrics, it can definitely feel like you're finished, but sometimes those lyrics that you came up with first are not the ones that are going to get the best message across. Sometimes the lyric that you've got is really only speaking the essence of what you mean the lyric to say. So one way to do this is you finish a song and then highlight the lyrics that don't necessarily fit, or the ones that could just be better somehow. Another way to ensure your lyrics are perfect or the best they can be is to start off with a skeleton. So you'll write, I want a line that says this, but not this. So for example, we were in love. Now that is a very general statement. I can't think of anything on the spot, but you would replace we were in love with something else. So you would have a plan that you would follow for each line having a certain meaning rather than free-flowing the lyrics. The point where your song is perfect is where the message of the song is actually very unambiguous. I know that an ambiguous lyric makes it more available for anybody to insert their own meaning and that more people can relate to it. So if you want to go down that route, then that is an option. But usually in commercial songwriting, we want to make it very clear what we're talking about. So those are 5 myths about songwriting. If this video has been helpful, I would appreciate if you let me know down in the comments. If you have any questions that are related to songwriting, hit me up in the comments down below. I am more than happy to respond and perhaps make another video talking about something that I missed in this one. Otherwise, I will see you in another video. Bye.